These past few weeks, it is the most dominant driver on the grid, Max Verstappen, who's once again dominating the world of Formula 1. The four-time world champion has been on the front cover of every headline this week, as his place at Red Bull and the sport hangs in the balance, with Mercedes knocking and talks to confirmed to be happening, and with the current state of the Red Bull team and the Red Bull car, no one truly knows where he will end up. Let's start with Max's current situation. Back in 2022, Max signed a 6-year deal that keeps him at the team all the way to 2028. At the time, it was the longest contract ever signed in F1. But let's be real, in F1, contracts are never bulletproof. Both teams and drivers usually have get-out clauses, and Max is not a driver who will hang around if things go south. And honestly, things are getting a bit rocky at Red Bull. Firstly, there's been a noticeable drop in performance. The team hasn't been as dominant lately, and Max has made it clear he's frustrated, both in interviews and on the radio. Then we get into the internal politics. Christian Horner and Helmut Marko have been clashing and making the headlines for all the wrong reasons. And Max's dad, Jos Verstappen, is not shy about calling people out. He's been pretty vocal, even criticising Red Bull publicly, and it is well known that he doesn't see eye to eye with Christian Horner. However, very on topic, at the time of recording this video, the huge bombshell news was dropped that Christian Horner has left Red Bull with immediate effect. This news not only comes as a huge surprise, but also has some huge implications for Max's future. You can look at it two ways. Firstly, that this was the final nail in the coffin for Max. With Horner gone and a large amount of the team's head figures also no longer there, this leaves Red Bull without clear leadership or direction, and could easily lead to a further drop-off in performance. Or the second option, Jos Verstappen finally got what he wanted. As it was confirmed about a year back, he reportedly told Helmut Marko that it's either Max or Christian. And with this whole saga with Mercedes, this could be the reason why Horner has now finally been given the boot. Jos Verstappen served the Red Bull directors an ultimatum. But let's not forget one of the biggest issues. Adrian Newey has left the team. It's a massive point. Adrian Newey is the genius behind all of Red Bull's best cars. And without him, it's not clear who's driving the technical direction anymore, and the team feels like it has no real plan going forwards. But to top that off, Red Bull has built the car around Max. It's incredibly hard to drive, and any other technical director may have a hard time picking up on that. The car has been built so much around Max that every number 2 driver they've brought in has struggled and never lived up to their full potential. And to win a championship, you need a reliable teammate who can back him up and help him throughout the race. A bit like Sergio Perez in 2022 and 2023. Max cannot win a championship with a teammate who's always 40 seconds behind. So yeah, you could say the cracks are starting to show at Red Bull. Let's talk about Mercedes, because the rumours linking Max to Toto's team have exploded recently. Toto has made it clear for years that he would love to have Max in his driver lineup, and with the recent sightings of Max and Toto on a yacht together, this has exploded rumours even more. But what is interesting is George Russell hasn't signed a new contract yet, and with Lewis Hamilton heading to Ferrari last year, their number 1 driver seat is still open. So technically, both seats are open for discussion. And it is public knowledge that these talks have taken place, with both Max and Mercedes camp confirming. This isn't just paddock gossip, this is actual headlines. Toto has insinuated that if he does bring in Max, then Kimi, his young protege, will still be a part of the long-term plan for the team, which means a potential Max and Kimi lineup. But why would Max even consider this? Well, the new F1 regulations come into effect as of 2026. Brand new engines and aero rules. The whole thing just resets. Mercedes nailed it back in 2014 when there was the last big rule change. And if Max is thinking that Red Bull might struggle in this next era, he could take a gamble and jump ship to Mercedes in a hope to get back on top. And honestly, Mercedes just seem the more stable and reliable team at the minute. So where does this leave George Russell? He's basically built his whole career around this Mercedes seat. He waited years at Williams, turned down other chances, and he fought hard to prove himself against Lewis Hamilton. Kicking him out now would definitely ruffle feathers, and might not be the most popular move for Mercedes, especially with the fans. As George is one of the most consistent, talented drivers on the grid, and if Max does take his seat, he won't be short of options. But where could he move? He could move to Red Bull and take Max's spot, although that would be risky. He could replace Alonso at Aston Martin if that spot opens up, or he could go back to Williams and try and lead the new project. Or maybe, even in a wild twist, he could possibly replace Hamilton at Ferrari. Max moving to Mercedes could potentially cause a real chain reaction in the driver market, and the knock-on effects could be crazy. But here's the thing, Max's future might actually be a lot simpler than it seems. He might not switch teams at all. There is a chance he just stays at Red Bull throughout his contract until 2028 and then just walks away from the sport entirely. He has said many times he wants to do other kinds of racing, like GT racing, endurance racing, sim events. He's not really obsessed with chasing records like Hamilton or Schumacher were. If he gets to 4 or 5 titles by 2026, that might be enough for him. Plus, he values privacy, freedom, and time away from the constant media and track that comes with F1, so it wouldn't be a shock to see him walk away. However, if he decides to stay in the sport and Mercedes isn't the one, there is also a chance he may move to Aston Martin. With Honda engines coming in 2026 and tons of investment, they're building something serious over there, and if Max wants a new challenge but doesn't trust Mercedes or Red Bull, Aston Martin could be the wildcard move, as this would mean linking up with former colleague Adrian Newey to possibly build a rocket ship with Aston Martin's unlimited budget. But if you're Red Bull looking at the situation, what would actually keep Max Verstappen at your team? It's probably not about money, he's got enough of that already. To stay, he'll probably need 4 things. A dominant car that is still tailored to his driving style, a stable garage and team around him with no political drama or effects on the outside, a strong number 2 driver who can support him and not create chaos and can aid him in winning another championship, and most of all, a team that feels like it's focused on Max and built around him. If Red Bull can tick all these boxes, there isn't much reason why he would look elsewhere, but if they don't, who knows, we might be watching the end of an era. So what do you think? Is Max Verstappen really thinking about leaving Red Bull? And would Mercedes be the right move? Or could he just walk away from F1 altogether? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe and check out my latest upload. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.